Well, hi everyone. I'm John Retlin with a relaunch rant about the recent WWE releases. Why am I talking about this now, and why didn't I talk about the day that it happened or the day after it happened? I thought they were going to keep releasing people. I wasn't hoping it, but every time you kept refreshing Wrestling Twitter or WWE.com, they were adding more producers and more wrestlers to the list. This made that whole mass firing in 2014 seem like a small goddamn list, which by comparison it was, but it was just insane. There was also mixture of positivity and negativity. Nobody, there were some idiots that were happy that people lost their jobs and they're fucking assholes, and that's all I'm going to say right there. And I'm a fucking asshole, but even I was like, no, I may not like some of these wrestlers, but I'm not going to be happy that they lost their jobs. There were producers that got furloughed or outright fired. It's really hard to tell. Some of them can be brought back when all this stuff goes back to where they're running house shows and running shows with crowds. And that could end up happening. Some were just outright released. I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about the wrestlers in ever-growing list. Now, I do want to say right at the beginning that I did feed into some of the negativity when it happened because I was very upset seeing people lose their jobs, as anybody would be. And I'm going to rant some a little bit later. But I do want to say that if you are one of the ones that, oh yeah, ha ha ha, these people lost their jobs, you're a fucking asshole, just want to say that right now. Again, coming from somebody that's a fucking asshole. But also, I wanted to sit on this story and just wait and see what happened. I wanted to try and not lash out with so much anger, though I'm sure I will by the end of this video. And I do want to say that during this video, I may talk about where I think these wrestlers will go. Now, obviously, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and that is why a lot of these releases happen. Mania was not the success that they were hoping it would be because it wasn't at Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium. Access, all that stuff, all the all the revenue that could have come from it was just up in smoke. And even though Vince has quite a bit of goddamn money, he blew some on the XFL because he just won't accept failure, no matter how much evidence there is that he should have not tried it. Even though the XFL is a whole nother thing, it seemed like it was succeeding a little bit more because they didn't expect like huge ratings, but the ratings were getting cut in half because people were like, I'm not necessarily enjoying this. But you know what? He tried, it didn't work, and I feel for every single employee and player that were trying to actually make that league work. So, with the amount of releases that they had, I'm just going to go through them very, very quickly. And there's a lot of wrestling knowledge and, years of experience among all these people. And they could go to other companies, they could be brought back to WWE. It is really hard to tell. So, producers, Kidman, Mike Rotunda, Finley, who will probably go be with his son in New Japan, Pat Buck, Sean Daivari, Scott D'Amore, hashtag HardBodyRef, Sarah Stock, Shane Helms, Lance Storm, Kurt Angle. He had that retirement match against Baron Corbin. That was great. It wasn't. It wasn't great. It should have been a much better opponent, but is what it is. I'm not here. I'm not here to get too angry because I'll get angry a little bit later. And also, Mike Chioda, longest tenured ref that they'd had. And I think he was recovering from shoulder surgery, rotator cuff it was some form of shoulder injury. And he had been with them since 1989. So, okay, that's unfortunate, and especially considering he was actually a pretty good goddamn referee and was part of Carmella's cash-in, and actually he was the best part of that. But it's unfortunate they had to lose their jobs. It is. It's unfortunate anybody in WWE had to lose their jobs because of everything that's going on and a whole bunch of other stuff. And yeah, I'll probably end up starting with the finger pointing at some point because I can already feel the rage building in me, but I'm going to try to be a little focused right now. Now, I'm going to quickly run through all the wrestlers that got released. And I may look at this list and say, hey, here's where I think they're going to go, because I'm just going to give my opinions on where I think they could go when wrestling gets back to having shows in front of crowds and, the various bigger companies can get back to doing that. I don't know what's going to happen to independent wrestling as of this moment because we're in uncharted waters and who knows what's going to... I could talk about the future of wrestling in another video. But the Revival, and I'm going to start with them because, yes, it was a few days before all this stuff happened. It was inevitable the Revival were going to go. You could weigh the fact that it was a company wanting them to do things that they didn't want to do, and that happens with a lot of wrestlers. That happens with a lot. The Revival are not exempt from having to do things they didn't want to do, but they are a tag team that wanted to do tag team wrestling, and they got some runs in some tag title runs in NXT. They were actually pretty good. And yes, they got main roster tag title runs, but let's be honest, there were injuries, especially that happened in 2017, and other injuries and stuff like that, and the Uzi hot and all this, and there were a lot of reasons as to why the Revival left. I like the Revival. I wish them nothing but the best, but I know there were some people that didn't like, and that's fine. You guys can like or not like the person. But I also want to say, before I continue this list, if you're one of those people that's happy that anybody lost their jobs, fuck you. Just fuck you. You are not a goddamn wrestling fan. You cannot like the character. You cannot like this, but just fucking and keep that shit to yourself. Seriously, don't be happy that somebody lost their goddamn job. There were some people that were feeding into that level of negativity, and that was goddamn ridiculous. And this is coming from somebody that can be generally negative in some of his videos. So anyway, the Revival, wishing the best of luck wherever they go. Drake Maverick. This is one of the most emotional ones because he talked about his he did a video talking about his release, and he was very emotional. And he's also part of the Cruiserweight tournament that's going on, this round robin tournament where he's going to at least have 3 matches. Could you imagine if they have him win the thing and bring him back? I mean, I know that they were doing it as cost cutting, but could you imagine if they actually turned this into a storyline? They could turn it into a storyline. Wherever Drake goes, he will be an invaluable asset to many. To many in the locker room and wherever he goes. So actually, I'm just gonna talk about it right here. Where I think the Revival are going to go: NWA or AEW. Drake, he could be on NWA. He could do some pretty good stuff. He could also he could go back to Impact. I don't know if that ship sailed, but he could do AEW as well. He could be great in the juniors division in New Japan. Kurt Hawkins. This one is unfortunate because you read if any of you read a post, his wife and him are expecting another child, and it's just bad timing. And I wish them nothing but the best. I truly do. Kurt, I don't know where Kurt could go. NWA possibly, but he would be a valuable asset. Carl Anderson and Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows. They signed a 5-year contract last year, and now they're probably going back to Japan. Carl Anderson at least is, because he talked about that. And him and Gallows going back to Japan, that'd be pretty damn cool whenever New Japan is able to run shows again. But they're going to be a great team. They would be a dynamite team everywhere. And they had some good matches in WWE. They just weren't allowed because tag team wrestling, for whatever, is frowned upon on on Raw or SmackDown. And I feel bad for them because they signed 5-year contracts, and not even a year into them, or maybe about a year into them, they are released. And they're like thinking, okay, well, we maybe wanted to go somewhere, but we didn't want to turn down this money, especially Carl Anderson, who does have a hot Asian wife. He talks about only occasionally. Him with his kids and Gallows, them being the age they are, because they're in their late 30s, they probably want to just take guaranteed money. But wherever they go, but definitely New Japan. They're at least going to make some shots in New Japan whenever they run. And then we have EC3. EC3 is taking to social media and is having a whole lot of goddamn fun, and Impact, NWA, I think him versus Eli Drake would be quite goddamn good. Because you have two pretty good goddamn talkers and 2 guys that could work pretty well. And I mean, I don't know how many feuds you could really have with EC3 in the NWA, but I think him versus Eli Drake would be money left on the table. Lio Rush. I want to say this. I've been very harsh on Lio Rush. If Lio has grown and Lio is able to, if he's able to be more mature, if he has been more mature, and it seems like he has been, at least in recent months, if that's the case, he is going to do very well. Now, I don't know how he would do in New Japan, but he would be a great performer for Impact to bring in, for AEW to bring in. There's a lot to do here with a guy in the ring who is very talented like Lio Rush, and he can talk. So if he's got the maturity, the immaturity out of the way, he is going to do pretty well. Heath Slater, this one, I would say this one hurts, but, they hadn't really done anything with him for so many goddamn months. I do want to say that most of these releases didn't surprise me, but there are some that kind of angered me because they could have done more with them. And don't worry, I'm going to talk about, poorly spent money, poorly distributed money from WWE here in a little bit. But, Heath Slater, much like Kurt Hawkins, I think could be a valuable asset on the Indies or wherever. But Slater's pretty good. And I wish him nothing but the best as well. Eric Young, Impact. I think Impact or NWA. I think him versus Nick Aldis would actually be pretty good. I mean, you'd have to really try to build Eric Young up, but it would be, he's a veteran. He's somebody that's had a lot of years in wrestling. I just recently watched TNA Lockdown 2005, and it's funny to think he was a few years into his career and he hadn't even hit his peak yet. We get Aiden English, commentator for 205 Live, former member of the Vaudevillains, former member of Rusev Day. No, I cannot do it like the Derp. And also, it is about 5 in the morning when I'm recording this. But Aiden's good in the ring. If he wanted to do commentary somewhere, also, he'll be great wherever he goes. Sarah Logan. Well, boy, she got destroyed by Shayna Baszler and then got released a couple days later. That's good. That's good. No, it's not. It is unfortunate. I don't care for some outside activities that she has, but that's about the person. That's about, everybody has things that they don't like to do, or they do that others don't like them doing. We all have things that we like to do. And Sarah Logan was somebody I think that always had untapped potential. I wish her nothing but the best wherever she goes. Japan, possibly, maybe for Stardom. Um, the AEW Women's Division, the Impact Knockouts roster. NWA, her versus Thunder Rosa could be pretty good. We think at Rowan, I mean, he had a mechanical spider in that goddamn cage. I think he was pretty much dead in the water there. I'm not the biggest fan of Rowan, but don't want to see him lose his job. Wish him nothing but the best. I mean, they could reunite him and Luke Harper. I don't know really where else you put Rowan. Maybe you put him in Japan and maybe have him do some stuff. Maybe he could cut his beard a bit. Maybe he could be a big guy for others to take down. He could be some pretty good muscle if he could stay injury free. Then Primo and Epico, who I forgot were still part of the company. They'll probably go back to Puerto Rico. Or they could be a jobber tag team. They could be a lower level tag team in AEW. Or you could put them in Impact. They might add some depth to the tag team division there. And they got some pretty good tag teams. Mike and Maria Kanellis. Now, this is the one I want to talk about. I believe Maria Kanellis is on maternity leave. Now, people can feel however they want about Mike Kanellis and Maria when they came there, and Maria got pregnant soon after, so they couldn't release her, and I don't think that was planned, or it was planned, whatever. They got a lot of money, and they weren't really doing all that much. And I mean, they weren't doing much of Mike because he had to recover from his, addictions, and thank God he did. He seems to be doing much better now. He's offering motivational speeches on Twitter. He's doing some great stuff to help out people that suffer from drug addiction as well. Good on him. Drug and alcohol addiction. Good on him. But this one irritates me because Maria was on maternity leave. I believe him and her had just had a kid, or it was a number of months before, but still on maternity leave. Oh yeah, let's just release these people that we're not doing anything with, that we signed to a 5-year contract, that we basically humiliated, and that whole goddamn thing. Maybe next time I'll ask Becky to impregnate me. That storyline, that cucking storyline. Yay, that's a way to use them. That was a terrible use of both women. Or both women, dear God, Jesus Christ. Yeah, they used the kid on there too. No, that was a terrible use of Maria, even though she's good on the mic, and it's a terrible use of Mike Kanellis. And Ring of Honor, AEW actually would be pretty good because you could have Mike be somebody that could take on, Kip Sabian. You could do the couples thing. You could have him take on Cody. And they could do Impact. They could do Ring of Honor. They could go Japan. I think Mike Bennett now, he could do quite a bit of stuff. He really could do some great stuff. But yeah, releasing talents when one of the talents was on maternity leave, it's not shocking. They did it with Dawn Marie in 2005. So yeah, it's not an unprecedented move, but it's still a fucking dick thing to do. It's not shocking from Vince, but it's still a dick thing to do. Zack Ryder, boy, you want to talk about a long tenured employee that got released. I mean, he'd been with them since 2006. And AEW, I don't think there's any doubt about that. He's friends with Cody. It'll be like the Shawn Spears situation, maybe a little bit better. because Zack Ryder could get over on charisma. And that's not to say Sean Spears is bad, but it just seems like they cooled him off. But Zack Ryder is AEW bound for sure. No way, Jose. He's one I feel bad for because the gimmick was not all that good, but you could see that he was a talented performer. I saw him, myself and Durbinator saw him at an NXT house show, and he got the crowd fired up. But you watch him in the ring, he was able to do more, and he's pretty damn good in the ring. So he'll need a gimmick change, obviously, but he could succeed elsewhere. I think he could be quite good. It could be like a Juice Robinson situation in New Japan. I don't know if you could put him in New Japan, but it could be like a rebirth where he would do better outside with like another gimmick, a bit of a more serious gimmick. Though Juice Robinson is a flamboyant one, but you get my point. He was able to be presented as a serious competitor. Rusev, this one pisses me off because they had so much of a chance, so many chances. Fuck, they didn't just have one. They had chance after chance after fucking chance after motherfucking chance to use Rusev properly. The guy's charismatic, he's talented in the ring, he got himself in incredible shape, and then they brought him back to be part of that, the cucking storyline with Mike and Maria, for like a week. And then they had him as part of a cucking storyline with his real life wife, Lana, and Bobby Lashley, being that whole thing and everything. And it was terrible. They had the U.S. title run, the first U.S. title run where he came out on a fucking tank, hopefully just a regular tank, though I'm not going to kink shame if you want to be in a fucking tank. Never got pushed to the main event, at least for long. He did face AJ Styles during AJ Styles' 5-year WWE Championship run. It only lasted a year, but seemed like it lasted 5 years. He never got the chance to be the main event guy that he should have been. He was over with Rusev Day. They cut that off. And then the cucking storyline, no wonder he wanted to fucking leave. And it's unfortunate that he got released because they had every chance to use his potential, and they didn't fucking do that. Use him to his full potential. Good fucking grief. So New Japan, I put him in New Japan or AEW. Put him in New Japan, and my God, he would be over. Him versus Ishii, him versus Suzuki. Shut up and take my money. Rusev versus Okada. Rusev versus Shingo. If he goes to AEW, Rusev versus Mox. Rusev versus Jericho possibly, but maybe have Rusev be part of the Inner Circle and kick Hager out and get somebody there with charisma to be the muscle. Rusev will succeed wherever the fuck he goes. Deonna Purrazzo, they treat her like a goddamn jobber, and anywhere she goes, she will be used better. Impact, AEW, NWA, she wants to go to Stardom. She's going to be used a whole lot better wherever she goes. And one of the most talented women wrestlers in the world, and especially for being so young, I think she's 24. She is somebody that's got years ahead of her and seriously can be used a lot better than she was in most of her WWE run. MJ Jenkins resisting the urge to say Leroy Jenkins, the meme and stuff like that. Because every time I hear Jenkins, that's what I think. MJ Jenkins, I don't remember her being featured all that well. I know she was in the Mae Young Classic, 1 or 2. I think it was 2. She is somebody that I think AEW could bring her in for some enhancement talent roles at first and build her up and sign her. But she's not somebody I'm too familiar with. Still unfortunate she lost her job. Cassius Ohno. Now, he may either be furloughed because he was apparently a coach, wrestler in NXT UK, and we don't know what the future of that brand's going to be. But Cassius, good wrestler still. I wish him nothing but the best if he did happen to get released. He, I think, still has a few years left, but he's probably one that they're going to bring back. And then Tainara Conte. I always screw up her name. I don't know if she's going to keep wrestling. If she does, I think she'll improve. And she'll be one of those comeback stories. She'll come back to WWE in a few years. She's somebody that could get better. Now, was she great in the ring? No. But she had a good look. Very good look. And she was getting better. Tino Sabatelli, they hadn't featured him on TV for so goddamn long. I don't know really what you could do with him. Hopefully he succeeds wherever else he goes. Cesar Bononi, he was one I think that had something. And God, I hope somebody picks him up and just utilizes him and sees he's a tall guy and he can move pretty well. We'll see. Dan Matha. People called him bigger Simon Miller. Simon Miller from What Culture, because he does kind of look, they do kind of look similar. But I'm sure there are other releases that I did not mention, some talents that were just under developmental contracts, so I do apologize if I missed anybody. Please let me know in the comments. But now here's why I'm going to talk about why they got released. Obviously because of the pandemic, cost cutting and all that. But why did they have to cost cut? You would think that WWE, with all the cash that they have, that they're getting from these TV contracts and everything, and yes, the revenue that they lost from WrestleMania, Access not happening, and other stuff, you would think that WWE would still be able to find something. Well, you had the XFL. You had Vince McMahon losing so much money and WWE having a stake in it, even though they said WWE and the XFL were separate companies. And the whole bankruptcy thing that's going on. Oh boy, I really feel, again, for the players and coaches and staff and everybody that was working with the brand, working with the sports league, that now have to find jobs. And sure, they may have gotten some compensation, but still, it's shit. Yes, the pandemic played a part of it, but also just the fact that another football league just wasn't going to get the ratings and the attention that Vince McMahon wanted, because Vince McMahon will not accept goddamn failure. But here's a few reasons why I think that WWE had some issues financially. Financially, they say. Now, am I going to say that I understand business and everything, and I understand when you have $500 million in assets that you can call upon? No, I'm sure that there's plenty of ways to break it down and stuff like that. There's only a certain amount of money that they actually have that they can use as a way to carry themselves along without having crowds. So I'm not going to pretend to understand that, though. WWE is making money hand over fist still. Sure, a lot of these talents weren't going to be used all that well, and it is unfortunate that they lost their jobs. And once again, don't be one of those goddamn assholes being happy that people lost their jobs. You can not like the wrestling character, and you can, still be a human being and realize, hey, these people losing their jobs, they didn't fucking ask for that. So, let's take a look at a few people that have big money contracts. Obviously, Brock Lesnar. Yes, he is somebody that can draw a casual eye because he has a name from his first WWE run and then from his UFC run and stuff like that. And yes, Brock Lesnar, as far as an athlete, when he's fucking motivated, which is rare, but when he's motivated, he can draw some eyes and everything. They're still paying him way too much money. Way too much money. It's like, what, 10 million? It should be half that, maybe. Now, he may be one that may never be brought back, just because he may not want to do the travel, and he may have a whole bunch of money and everything, and I honestly would not be upset if Brock Lesnar wasn't back. Because he's done everything he can, there's no real reason to bring him back. Focus on newer talents and people that you can build around that are going to be there full time. Even though he'd been here been in WWE and on programming a whole lot more this year, and I will give credit for that WWE was somehow able to convince him, yeah, congratulations, you were able to convince Brock Lesnar to show the fuck up and do his job. But anyway, and I can feel this rage building, but 10 million for Brock Lesnar is about 200% too high. No, it's too much. It's way too much. It's inflated. They should only be paying him half that. And yeah, I'm going to stand by that. Who am I to say how Vince McMahon should spend his money, but he should have spent it smarter. Bobby Lashley apparently makes $3.5 million. Now, I love Lashley, and I'm glad he's getting a big payday because he certainly deserved it after kind of getting shafted the first time in WWE. And we all know why. Look up why Bobby Lashley left, and you'll understand what I'm saying. He had a good run in Impact. His second run, at least. His 2009 to early 2010 run, less so. But his second run in Impact, he was shown as being a dominant monster. But $3.5 million seems like a lot with a guy that you're putting in a goddamn storyline with Lana, who has a 5-year contract with the company. That's one where I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't fucking get why they would sign talents to 5-year contracts. Maybe sign them to 3, but they're desperate to not have anybody go anywhere else. But their hand was forced because Vince McMahon wants to protect himself, which, yes, is a smart business maneuver. But you know how he could have done that? Not given millions to Cain Velasquez, who, yes, could transition over from the UFC world. He wrestled in a few multi-man matches in AAA and showed some promise. But the fact that Brock Lesnar beat Kofi Kingston and you transition right to a Cain Velasquez feud that nobody asked for, it happened in Saudi Arabia and nobody cared about it. That was bullshit, and God forbid I'd be surprised if they didn't pay Cain Velasquez about $5 million, because all these cuts apparently saved them about $4.5 million, depends on what you believe. And okay, it saved them $4.5 million. And it may have saved them that a month, it may have saved them that every couple months. I'm not sure what the pay scale is. I know that some of these talents were making some pretty good money, others were making developmental contract money, but still, you give Cain Velasquez all that money, you give Brock Lesnar all that money, and Bobby Lashley $3.5 million. I mean, again, happy he got a payday, but with how they're using him, he shouldn't be getting more than 1.5. The money distribution is just out of goddamn hand. If you're going to pay Lashley that much, have him face Lesnar, have him face Drew McIntyre, build him up and have him do something, have him go to SmackDown and have him face Braun Strowman. I mean, those matches, well, that's unfair. The match that they had, Extreme Rules, was actually not all that bad. But okay, here are the big ones. Here's the big one. Tyson Fury, $15 million. So let me get this straight. You can't pay you can't pay talent properly, but you can find $15 million for Tyson Fury. For Tyson Fury, who doesn't mean jack shit to me. I don't give a fuck about Tyson Fury. It's fucking bullshit that Tyson Fury got $15 million, regardless of how much he means to boxing. Because boxing to me has been dead for years. You get the occasional big prize fight and stuff like that, and you get people buying a pay-per-view card. Great, cool, whoop-de-fucking-do. Tyson Fury wasn't even worth $1.5 million. And that match with Braun Strowman fucking sucked. And if they were going to have him be part of WrestleMania before this whole thing happened, cool. Who the fuck would have wanted to see Tyson Fury? $15 million. $15 million. You could have not brought him in and had that money in reserve. But they got cocky and they were spending money like crazy, and then suddenly a fracture happened and now there's a dent in business. It's sounding a lot like WCW. Vince McMahon was being a goddamn idiot with how he was spending his money, and with the XFL and with, these huge payouts that were going to people, and this was in Forbes. So this is something, reported from a fairly legit news source. And also Rob Gronkowski, I imagine he's getting like 3-something million a year. So they can get rid of all these people that, for better or worse, at least were loyal company people. Especially in the case of Slater, Ryder, Rusev, and various others. They can get rid of loyal company people. Forcing them to fly during a pandemic to come and do tapings, live shows or tapings, whatever you want to believe, but then release them a few days later in the middle of all this stuff. So here in closing is what I have to say. WWE really dented and especially Vince, dented the view that fans are going to have of the company. Releases are inevitable. There is no fucking doubt about that. Because they had so many goddamn wrestlers, they hoarded so many people that it's now going to affect them. This is only going to be the first wave of releases. And I'm not, again, no wishing for people to lose their jobs here, but do not tell me that this is going to be the only wave. They had about 300 people under contract, 300 wrestlers. That's way too many. That's more than WCW had at its height, even when it was running Thunder and Nitro and running some house shows and stuff like that. But still, they had too many damn people for about 5 hours of TV. And yes, they have NXT and they have people like that, people that are under those umbrellas, and including NXT UK, and who knows what's going to happen with NXT UK. But they're spending money like crazy. They're, flushing it down the toilet in some of these cases with like Tyson Fury and Cain Velasquez and all that. They're paying all this for people that are outside the company instead of taking care of the people inside the company. So I can't imagine why some people might not be jaded towards WWE. In closing, if you guys agree, disagree with what I say, let me know in the comments, because I want to know what you guys what you guys feel, because there are a lot of people, a lot of fucking people that could be doing, that could have benefited from staying on with this company, but Vince McMahon basically decided to be dumb with how much money he spent. Now, many of these talents will hopefully be happier elsewhere whenever all this calms down, and I want to know where you think a lot of these releases are going to go. Yes, it's a bit of a long video, but I had to get some anger out. So those are my thoughts on WWE releases, and I hope those are all of them, but I just fear that Vince McMahon's going to be a little bit crazy about it. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.